Welcome back to Mets Rewind. My name is Keith Raad, Mets broadcaster, and today we go back to 1999, the great Game 5 Grand Slam single. Robin Ventura and John Olerud, two legends of the 90s, joining us here. Guys, it is so good to see you. Hunter has cut this from Lawrence of Arabia, 5 hours and 46 minutes, down to a Seinfeld episode, about 30-some-odd minutes. So I hope you'll take a trip down memory lane here.
That's appreciative. That's appreciative.
So Hunter, fire away, roll that tape, and let's jump into it. So this is Game 5. Full disclosure, I was 6 years old. I was up in the upper deck. We ended up leaving early because this game goes 5 hours and 46 minutes. But coming into this thing, you guys dropped the first 3 to the Braves, who were, I hate to say this as a Mets fan, kings of the 90s, but the truth is the truth. And you guys fight all the way back, win Game 4. Here you go into Game 5. John, we'll start with you. What do you remember about, okay, life or death, here we go, facing the Braves again, facing elimination?
Yeah, I just remember the Braves were super tough, and they always played us tough. That's the thing I remember about it. But the great thing about the playoffs is you never know what's going to happen, and as long as you're still in it, you got a chance. So that was the way we felt. I think we felt like the Braves had kind of had our number, but keep battling.
So you have Masato Yoshi going against Greg Maddux. This is a game that features, I had to write it down because there's so many. Bobby Cox used 22 players. Bobby V used 23 players. So what we're about to see, Robin, did you have any idea that 5.5 hours from this, you'll have one of your great moments of all time?
No, not at that time. I mean, I think we always talk about Atlanta was tough, but it was like our last month. It just seemed like every game was like that. We were kind of fighting to get into the playoffs, and it just felt like every game kind of had the same magnitude. I don't know. I just remember always going like, we have to win this game.
And the first 3 games of this series, I mean, obviously you guys win Game 4, but the first 3 games are decided by 4 runs. So yes, they dominated most of those games, but did you feel like every single one was as close as the final score was?
I don't know if it was like as close. I mean, they always played us tough, and they were very good. We had to almost play kind of flawless to be able to beat them. I mean, they had a deep pitching staff, and their lineup was great, and it was different. It had power, it had speed, it had everything.
All right, John, here we go. First inning, facing one of the all-time greats in Greg Maddux. You got Ricky, a legend at first base. Let's see here. What do you remember about this at bat? Because it's a fruitful one when it's all said and done here. What do you remember about facing Maddux?
The thing I remember about facing Maddux was that it seemed like he almost preferred facing left-handed hitters. He'd throw that cutter in on you, break your bat, and then strike you out with a sinker that started inside and came back over the plate. So
that one,
yeah, and
it just wasn't high enough.
And you didn't know whether he was going to try to get you out on the inside half or whether he was going to stay away from you. So he was just very unpredictable and tough at bat. So, you're just looking for a good pitch to hit.
So, Robin, I have you down 2 for 21 lifetime against Maddux. John's 4 for 20. I think and believe me, you're obviously not alone. That's the most amazing thing about Maddux is he'd see you a bunch of times, and this is a different game back in the 90s than it is in 2026, where twice in the lineup, that's it, because you can't figure out guys a third time. I mean, Greg was so good at spinning it.
He just had, like Ole said, he had a cutter that went in, but he also had that one that started at your hip and came back over the plate. And their whole staff was really good at stretching the strike zone, making you think the pitch that you're seeing is a strike, and it's a little off the strike. I mean, this is also back before ABS and all that. But they were so good at, there he is. Yeah, that's the one that this was up a little bit. But they were just so good at stretching the zone and going back and forth. I don't know. I mean, it felt like Greg was like reading my mind. If you just went like, okay, he's going to do this one or he's going to do that one, he kind of ended up doing the opposite.
John, how sweet is this feeling? You guys are facing elimination here. How sweet is this feeling to go up 2-0 on this swing?
Oh well, it's a great feeling anytime you contribute to the team. I mean, we were facing elimination, and so yeah, it's a great feeling anytime you can put some runs on the board. I was just going to say that Maddux. He was unusual in that he'd throw that sinker that would start inside and come back over the plate. And you don't see very many pitchers do that, because if you miss over the middle of the plate, you can really get hurt. But and that must have been what happened there, is he missed a sinker, more middle of the plate, and I was able to hit it well. So yeah, he was unique in that way. Such good control.
Yeah, John, you did have a great series. I mean, you had some big hits off rocker, had big home runs. Do you feel does it channel every at bat? Feels like you're riding high in a series like this? Like don't let me stop here. I'm hot. Keep me going.
Uh, yeah, I don't know. It just works out that way. All these guys, were great pitchers, and really gave you a lot of problems at the plate. So you're just up there battling, trying to get a good pitch to hit, and hopefully you don't miss it if you get it, because they don't give you too many good pitches to hit, anyways.
No, not at all. I mean, I was just watching the full game. I mean, Greg was giving up a few more hits, and it felt like, oh man, he's a human. He bleeds blood. Not you go back and watch every highlight, and he's just striking everybody out and get everybody to ground out.
Yeah, and I think that's the unique thing about him is, I think you look back, he was so good at kind of forcing you to swing at things, and I think now it's more of a strikeout um, kind of philosophy now, where you're really into the strikeouts. But if you remember, he kind of had that thing that he wanted a game under 2 hours,
That's right.
and he threw strikes. I mean, that's kind of how he judged his games, and he would just force you to swing at things you really didn't want to swing at.
I think he's just really good at making dinner reservations after a night game.
Yeah, absolutely. He obviously ate well.
So early lead, Yoshi's on the mound. I remember there was a little bit of deliberation. Was he going to be on the roster or not? He ends up making the start in game one and the start in this one. What do you remember about him and holding on to this lead as long as he can against this Braves relentless offense, as it turns out to be?
Yeah, Yosh was just, he kind of, he threw strikes, but he moved it around too. I mean, he was clever. He knew he wasn't going to blow anybody away, and I think with him and Rick Reed, they knew they were kind of those kind of pitchers that they're going to make you put it in play, hopefully weekly, but they weren't going to walk a lot of guys. They were going to make guys swing. It wasn't about just the strikeouts.
So Braves fourth inning, it's 2-0 Mets. This is the inning where you start to see the Atlanta Braves come to life. Now, John, this was year 3 for you as a Met. The previous year, you guys missed out on the playoffs by 1 game. I mean, just to go back into the world of the Braves, I mean, Chipper Jones ends up naming his son Shea because of how well he hits during this time period. But did it have that intimidation factor the 3 years that you were there? Like, man, this hump is just so frustrating to try to get over these Braves.
Yeah, well, they had so much success in the '90s that they were the team to beat, and so that was the team you were always shooting for. But just made for some good games.
So we're going to bring in Oral Hershiser here. We're going to see Oral at 40. John Franco's in this game in his late 30s. Top of the 4th inning, tied at 2. The sun is still somewhat shining. The rain hasn't started yet. But just asking John about being here for a couple of years. Robin, it was your first year. I mean, what do you remember about? It's a pretty good team that you guys had that year. But what do you remember about joining a team that was on the rise in that time?
Well, I think that was the fun part of coming over for me. I had ended up on a White Sox team. They had traded everybody in '97, so '98 was kind of they call it a rebuild or whatever. But we were really young. And it was going to take a while. And I was a free agent, and you look at kind of your offers and what's there, and the other ones were they were just a little weird. Of like, I would play first, I would kind of move around a little bit, and this was just hey, we're gonna have Fonzie go to second, and you'd be at third. I mean, we need like one more left-handed hitter. So there was just something about when you look at who they had on their roster, I just really it just felt comfortable. And then when I got there, it was really the most fun I had with a team of just veteran guys, and it was just about winning games, and nobody really cared too much about individual stuff. It was really just about trying to win a game.
So this is a 2-2 game now after 4. Oral comes in and really kind of sets the tone, quiets things down. Maddux settles in, and this is really a defensive game. And John, growing up, this is the best infield that the Mets may have ever had here. When again, this is Robin's first year. What do you remember about ground balls hit to the left side or to your right that did you just feel like, oh baby, rocking chair, this is easy, I'm just going to go to first and they're going to hit me right in the chest here?
Yeah, no, I just remember about how good everybody was on the infield, and I would say especially, I know I've probably said it before, but there were times where I was ground balls and plays. You watch enough ground balls, somebody trying to lay down a bunt, and you kind of have a feel this is going to be a tough play. We're probably not going to get him, and I was always surprised at the plays the guys would make. That you go, this is a tough play. I don't know. And that's how you knew you had really good players around you, is when you would get surprised by the plays that they would make. So it made it a lot of fun. And I feel like when I was over there at the Mets, I got a lot better as well. Having Cookie Rojas there work with me at first base really helped make me a lot better player as well too. So it was a lot of fun.
So we saw earlier in this inning, poor Mike, who's getting his butt kicked in this whole series. He's trying to beat out a ball at first. Klesko drops it. He trips over Klesko's foot. I mean, was Mike being held together with duct tape here? Robin, what do you remember about this?
I mean, it was always that way, I think, with him, because it was, and back then you could run over the catcher. He got run over a couple times in September, and foul tips. I mean, really, when you look back at just his numbers, to be able to do it as a catcher is just ridiculous. I mean, just the abuse they take. It squatting all the time, and he played hard. Like, there was never a time if he hit a ball that he did not run hard. It wasn't like he was saving himself.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that was one of the things that was impressive to me about Mike's. He'd hit a routine ground ball out, and he'd still bust it down the line 100%. Where you go, you got no chance of beating that out. Zero. But yet he still gave it, hard effort to get down there, run it out. So, yeah, that was impressive.
So this is one of, I guess, the more amazing things about this game and how different the game is now, where you have the 3-batter minimum. I don't know if you guys remember this, but you have Turk Wendell on the mound. Mid at bat, Bobby V goes to the bullpen after it was 2-0 to bring in Dennis Cook. Cook then walks the batter intentionally, throws 2 pitches, and here comes Pat Mahomes. And it's so different. But I remember just watching this and seeing Bobby V. I said he was pacing like an expectant father. I mean, do you remember being in the dugout and what the vibes were like? Talk about pressure, but the pressure on Bobby V to put the chess pieces together here.
Yeah, he just always seemed that way to me in every game. He was always pacing. He was always, trying to figure out something. I mean, that was one of the things that he did, that he always did that. This didn't seem any different than any other game we had.
2-2 still in the 8th inning. Starting to get dark. Here come the Braves late. And are you getting? Is this? It's Walt Weiss who's now managing the Braves. Not that it's time, but do you feel that intensity ramping up defensively, John, when you are at first base and it's tight and it's elimination? That every play, you want the ball hit to you, right? But it's still a little tense here.
Yeah, no, it's tense. Every play is a big play. Yeah, and yeah, you just don't know what's going to happen. So hopefully you get the big hit.
There's one.
Yeah.
At the time, one of many in
Yeah.
this 15-inning game. But we just saw Johnny Franco come in that last inning and get out of it. And John, I mentioned, Robin comes in this year. This is year 3, but Johnny's been there for forever. What kind of veteran presence do you remember John being for guys that were new and guys that have been around for a while?
Yeah, no, he was just a great veteran guy, and definitely had good control of the clubhouse, and definitely very helpful, and a guy that you wanted to see out on the mound late in a ball game because he had so much success.
I heard he liked to bust chops every once in a while, though. Is that true, Robin?
He
Would
was
you
good
would
at
you
it.
imagine that? Is that possible that John
Yeah,
Franco
I
could?
mean, he was good at it. You're talking about a guy that was a closer for a long time. Kind of got, he's in the setup role, but it doesn't mean that he doesn't compete the same way. Has the same kind of stuff. It's just different than where the game was going with this guys that throw hard.
So it's getting late. Bottom 9, chance to win it every single time up now. But it's raining, and we can see little by little some of the raindrops falling. Robin, do you remember the?
It was wet. I
Yeah.
mean, I just remember everything. The dirt it just kept getting soggier and soggier, and like your cleats are really building up. Um, and even when you caught a ball or you tried to get a ball, to get it clean and get a good throw off, I think I was throwing with 3 fingers instead of just 2, just to make sure that you had like the right grip on it, because it was just slippery. And it wasn't like I had a big arm anyway, but you were just trying to get it in the air enough so Ole would have a shot at it.
Here's Mike making a beautiful play. Now, John, when it's a wet ground like that, and these infielders are throwing the ball with 3 fingers, you're already a big guy, but are you widening out? Are you expecting the worst here with the conditions?
Well, yeah, as a first baseman, when you get over to the base, you're always expecting a bad throw. So that's your first thought, anyways. And in this situation, yeah, you're definitely trying to be ready for a bad throw and try to make a good decision on it, good play. But yeah, everything is just that much more important, in these extra innings.
I think my family decided that it was about time to go home at this point in the game. It was getting late. I know it's funny to say, did you guys just want to end it already? But is it difficult to maintain this kind of laser focus inning after inning after inning when you're out there?
Like if we don't score, you're wanting to score, and then you're basically like, okay, we didn't score. Okay, now you gotta kind of grind back into it defensively. And the pitchers, I mean, they were doing a great job. I mean, we just couldn't get it done on our offensive end, but once you go back out there on defense, you're just hoping to hold the line.
John lifts one in the air to the corner. Off the bat, it's like, yes, and then just didn't quite happen. Did you think you had it there, John? I mean, I'm sure off the bat right away more than we do, but
Yeah, I think I knew off the bat that I didn't get that one. For me, there weren't a whole lot of I just missed it and it still went out. Had to hit it pretty good. So.
And then Robin, I know that you obviously have the big moment, but you struggled in the series. Did that swing right there kind of say, okay,
It
maybe I found
probably,
it?
yeah. I mean, I had a little knee thing going on. I really couldn't stay on my backside, and Yeah, you're just trying to find it. And I think that one probably helped the most of like that felt normal. Um, and I know going in, they take the lead and you get to the last one, but I didn't really expect to hit
Mm,
because I think I got out in the inning before, and it just there's gonna be a lot of guys have to come to the plate for me to get up.
that is a tough out right there.
Yeah.
That is a tough out for Ray right there. So if you can, John, what do you remember the crowd doing? I mean, because it's getting late. It's getting late. These people are getting into it. What do you remember about the Shea Stadium late '90s playoff crowd?
Well, I would say the big thing that I remember is, definitely we had great fan support, but I just remember they weren't big fans of John Rocker, and they had a lot of fun giving him a hard time. So it seemed like that was the big story, and Rocker was kind of like a professional wrestler, stirring up the crowd and that kind of thing. So he enjoyed getting them upset as well. So that's the big memory of that.
I think thinking back to it's amazing the energy they had for 15 innings. I don't remember ever one inning ever where it wasn't just intense and crazy. It never got quiet.
Absolutely not. I mean, Shea was just built loud. Here's a beautiful, well executed play. And that's what I mean about defense. I mean, you have to be perfect. It's raining. It's not easy. Mike's in there
Yeah,
getting
that play is
crushed
not
again.
easy at all. That play was
Yeah.
not easy at all. And Melvin was great. I mean, when he came up, he was so versatile. Just a solid player you can count on.
Yeah, he'd have some really good years with Baltimore. Wish he stayed in a Met uniform, but had good years with the Orioles later on in his career. But here we go. We're in the bottom of the 13th. I don't even know if you guys, do you know what time it is? Do you just kind of in and out, in and out,
Nah,
in and out? It's getting
no,
late.
it really didn't matter at that point.
It is trading zeros here. They see the rain falling right on Mike, and Mike is battered and bruised. There's John. I mean, he was a character, like you said, John. John
Yeah.
Rocker talking about here. I mean, as players, did you feel it was theater, or did you feel like this guy really wants to? He may get into something every single time you face him.
I don't know about that. I mean, he threw hard. He had great stuff. So, but he wanted to let everybody know he had great stuff.
So we're looking late. I mean, we're talking about guys with 6, 7, 8 plate appearances by now. Still tied at 2. 2 outs, bottom of the 14th. Here's Benny. Bench was great that year. I mean, you have to be deep at
Yeah,
this point of the season, but I mean, eventually the bench comes up big late. But maybe about Benny. I love Benny. We're number 50 for Hawaii. He was one of my favorites.
yeah. We had a great bench. I mean, Matt Franco, we had Pratt.
Yeah.
It was they kind of rotated guys in the outfield with Daryl Hamilton. We got him. I think Steve. He did a good job of. You just had the right guys and kind of the right attitudes as well.
He's got a stolen base. Walt Weiss gets to second here, 15th. Mike's out of the game. Todd Pratt's into the game. Still holding on here with 2 outs. Shawon Dunston is now in center field. Obviously, he'd play a big role. But do you remember? I mean, Dunston, I think they traded for him from St. Louis. He didn't want to go. Do you remember that? That he didn't want to. He didn't
Yeah,
want to come. He had been not. It wasn't against the Mets. He had just been traded so many times that he just said, "I'm sick of the trade." And Steve Phillips almost said, "All right, well, we may have to come up with a plan B here."
yeah. He was just such a pro though.
Yeah.
He was great for. I mean, you know, Sean did a lot of stuff, but he was just such a pro
Mm-hmm.
that I think that helped our whole team
Yeah.
of just what he kind of let himself in his role do.
Well, Shawon is about to come up majorly here, leading off the bottom of the 15th, Game 5, facing elimination. Braves now have a 3-2 lead, and this is an at bat where you could. I don't know. Well, they weren't selling beer by this point, but you can get a couple of beers and come back to your seat by the time this at bat is over because he battles so hard.
Yeah, I think one of the best at bats I think I've ever seen, especially in the conditions and the situation.
I don't think Bobby has sat down one time in this game.
The weird part about this for me is before he went up, he walked over to me and said, "You're going to win the game. So be ready."
Uh-oh.
And I was like, I looked at him like, really? All right. I mean, because I think I was batting 6th or 7th in that inning.
You're thinking a lot of things have to go right to get me to the
Yeah,
plate.
exactly. You start going, wait a minute. I thought I hit last inning. So you go back over it again, your brain kind of goes all over the place when it's been this long. But for him to go do that and then go out and have that at bat, then like right after his at bat, I remember thinking, "Oh, okay, let's go get your helmet and let's sit here and start watching real close."
I mean, John, when you're down by a run in the bottom of the 15th, okay, they scored. We have to answer. The first batter getting on, I mean, setting the tone. It's kind of the vibe maker or breaker here going into the 15th. What do you remember about this is it, do or die?
Yeah, honestly, I don't have great recollection of how this all played out, but yeah, down by 1 run. We've been struggling to get a run, can't seem to get a run. We lose this game, we're out of the playoffs, and yeah, it's not looking good. You hopefully get guys up there and they battle. We get on base, get something going, but yeah, it's just been a struggle all game.
I know that as fans, you're supposed to live and die with every pitch and every moment. You get down in the 15th and you go, man, it's not looking good. But as players, knowing more and more players over the years, nobody ever thinks it's over until it's over. And that for real, I mean, you see nail biting, you see tense moments. But Robin, coming into this inning, I know you had Shawon with his great words to you, but you're not thinking, uh-oh, we're going home. It's right. It's not over yet.
Well, I mean, you know it's a possibility if you don't do it, but again, it just felt like the last month of the season, every game was like this, and we kind of made these little comebacks, and there had to be a sign of life somewhere in that inning, and a blooper, something would happen, and it just kind of felt like, okay, something's gonna happen, and I think with what Sean's doing in the rain, you're that was a sign because he shouldn't be able to do all this in the rain as hard as it was raining.
You can see guys don't have this much time between pitches to think about what's coming next
No,
anymore.
yeah, there's a few things that are different.
I remember Shawon said that facing McGlinchey had fastball curve. He said, those are pitches I could hit. He had a slider. I might have
Yeah,
been toast here, but he felt like he was confident going into this at bat against McGlinchey's stuff.
yeah, and everybody gets to see it all. I mean, they didn't have. I think they had Millwood left, but they still need a starter if we ended up coming back.
Right.
And so they didn't do that, which obviously in the end turned out well for them. But for this game, you could sit there and kind of pick apart how much, and it's not easy for the pitcher to just sit there and throw in the rain either.
This at bat is still chopping wood here, still trying to stay alive. Yeah, I mean, it's funny, like all the managerial decisions that are made. I mean, you're obviously focused on your job, but is there part of you you both were veterans, so you've been around for a while, and part of you kind of managing a little bit in your mind about, well, I think shouldn't they do this or should they do that or that's an interesting move?
I Not for us necessarily. It kind of went for us the way you thought it would. Like the people were put in situations that they'd been in before. I think for them it was a little bit different that he didn't just go right to Millwood, but then you think, okay, he knows he's got a game to play with or 2 games to play with. We're using anybody at any time. You just figure it out. They still had some like options.
Dunston's still fighting away here. This
Yeah.
is unbelievable. I mean, for McGlinchey to come on.
I'm going to go to the bathroom. I'm going to be right back. Okay.
McGlinchey comes on and is working here. I mean, he ends up walking 4 in this. He faces 9 hitters, and it feels like this is 3 or 4 of them right here with the way Dunston is attacking him. You've got John's got a helmet on. He's ready to go. I'm sure you're saying, let's see how this ends first. You're not saying let's go here. I'm trying to hit with the way that Shawon's battling. Let's see if this is the one. There it is. So you're off. You're ready to go. You're ready to go in the bottom of the 15th, down by 1. And then more managerial decisions. You can go lay a bunt down. It's a beautiful stolen base. I mean, and don't you feel like you're set up here? I mean, you're down 1, but that's the start you're looking for.
Oh, yeah. I think once he stole second, you're like, ooh, okay. You're almost thinking you can win this one with a couple hits instead of just tie it.
It's amazing. You go through all these extra innings. Nobody scores in extras. And then you get to the 15th. Finally, the Braves cross one. And it awakens everything here. And now you've got first and second, nobody out. Fonzie's. This is what I love about watching these games. Early in the game, Andrew Jones, future Hall of Famer, he's laying a sac bunt down. Fonzie's laying a sac bunt down. I don't know if in 2026 he's laying a sac bunt down. He might be, but it's just the selflessness of some of these at bats.
Well, again, you don't bunt. I mean, this was obviously, it was do or die. We had to have a guy on third. You can't just sit there and hope for a 3-run homer.
This is a huge at bat for Todd. Feeling good.
Yeah.
John, you just got intentionally walked. Did you feel like that was coming? Did you feel like it was a sign of respect?
Oh, I think it was, just game situation and open base. They wanted to get the force at home, give themselves a better chance of getting that lead runner. So I just think that was, normal type play.
My favorite part of watching this inning is seeing Robin in the dugout and just like knowing that one of the greatest moments of all time is coming up, and you're just sitting there. You have no idea that's about to happen. Just as an onlooker, that's just so great to see.
On deck, I actually thought Tank. You remember he hit the homer against Arizona in the series before when Mike was out. And I think that was a really big deal for this at bat in particular. The confidence that he had, I actually thought he was at least going to hit a sac fly or something like that.
Boom!
I didn't know he was going to go into the little league bunt thing, but
pitchers don't like that. They don't like that.
Yeah, they don't like that. At that point, I maybe I reversed it and went, "What is he doing?"
You can see the look on his face. He's got kind of a smirk to him. He knows something good is going to happen here.
No, you could tell there was something there.
3-1, not even close. Tie game, places jumping, people with ponchos on. It's getting late, 5.5 hours into this thing, and now you're coming up. And does it feel like a little house money, a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, once you got the run in and you still have one out, all I could do is screw it up, strike out or hit into a double play or something like that. And I mean, for the life of me, I'm like, I am hitting this ball in the air. I don't care if I pop out to the catcher, but I am not hitting into a double play.
Boy, I'm sweating for McGlinchey here just thinking about this. Heart's pounding again. I think
we made it. And it's on him too. You got to remember, if he walks me, and he's walked a few guys, so if he walks me, it's over anyway. So I am just looking for a ball up. That's all I'm doing. And as soon as I see it up, I'm swinging straight up.
Oof, like that.
Yeah. I just wanted something up. And then something I could get in the air. So I was really, I was not going to be late. I was just looking fastball, and I'm like, I'm trying to hit a fly ball to center field.
Cedeno, remember those sweatbands on the wrist? We all wore those as kids in the early 2000s from watching these games. Yeah, the command was gone. The control was gone. I'm sure the rain doesn't help. Bases
It
loaded
doesn't
doesn't
help.
help.
It doesn't help. I mean, at that point, you keep kind of getting chips on your side of what he has to do. And as long as you don't swing at something stupid, just look fastball down the middle and get it in the air.
Like that.
Yeah. And it was up enough. And all I wanted to do is get it, out into the outfield. Now, this is where it gets weird.
A little bit weird.
This is where I didn't know what was going on. I'm like yelling at Pratt, and I look back and I had seen that Roger had scored, so I knew we were good. As long as everybody touches, we're good. But it just kind of got weird here. You don't know what to do. I mean,
So
it was just loud.
Yeah, Todd, what a great teammate Todd was. And, in the dugout, nobody was pulling harder for you than Todd. And I think he just got carried away. He couldn't help himself. He got to second base and he just wanted to be a part of the celebration. And I don't know why he didn't wait till got to home, but yeah, he just couldn't help himself.
So Robin, it looks like, first of all, you're very calm, and then you're freaking out a little bit. Like, can you please? We're not blowing this. Go, run forward.
Yeah, that was the first thought. Is you're like, let's just make sure everybody touched a base. That's all. That's all I was really thinking at the time. And then I could kind of see there was probably 2 or 3 guys at home plate waiting, and then they got tired and came out because we weren't going to make it to home plate. So you can, and then I do remember Jerry Lane like calling the game over. He was standing at home plate when those guys were there, and then I knew like, okay, I can't circle the bases anyway, so it really doesn't matter as long as we won.
Yeah, go the 1908 World Series. Fred Merkle. Go check out that story about not touching bases late in the game to lose one. If Tom
Yeah,
doesn't touch second or John doesn't touch third, someone could jump
right.
over the fence, go get the ball, bring it back, get the out.
Yeah, exactly. You just don't want something super weird to happen.
What is hilarious too, again, looking back, maybe not, you win the game in the moment, but Robin, you are one of the great Grand Slam hitters of all time. And this one doesn't even count as a Grand Slam. It counts as a hit. So you got 3 ribbies taken away from you in a home run.
Yeah, I'll trade it though. I mean, it's again, you'd like to have them, but this is one I don't think anybody's gonna want to tie this. I don't think they're gonna want to have one of these.
So John, you're at second. So the ball gets hit. Did you turn and look for where it went, or are you just running? You're watching Jordan. Where are you watching at second base?
No, yeah, my responsibility is I got to make sure it doesn't get caught, and if it does get caught, I tag up because my run doesn't matter, So when I see, the right fielder not going after it, and the ball going over the fence, then it's just, take my time scoring and, you assume you're going to celebrate at home plate, but it didn't work out that way.
I remember Howie Rose. He said he was doing the game and he was reporting on it because it was Bob Costas was doing the national game. He jumps out to do the reporting and he's looking at the scoreboard like, wait a minute, isn't it supposed to be 7-3? The game's it says 4-3. It's 7-3. There was a moment, I mean, Robin, in that celebration where you realized, first of all, again, just make sure everybody touches every base. But it was until Jerry Lane signaled game that you succumbed to the celebration, right? Because there's a point where you're just getting tackled out there.
Yeah, I'm still thinking maybe we can figure out a way to keep running and do this. And then the more people that came out there, and I just remember getting my head. I mean, people are hitting me on the head, and I'm trying to look, see if who's doing it. Where's Pratt? Is he in front of me? Did I go past him? Did I run past him? I mean,
Yeah.
I don't want it to be one of those things like, oh, you passed the guy, so everybody's got to go back, and there's 2 outs, and that was like a weird. I don't even know where that thought came from, but yeah, it was kind of chaos for a little bit.
As we wind down here, I mean, as your both careers are done after 16, 17 years. John, I'll go to you first here. What do you remember about this run in 99 and the magic. Like, this is a moment that we're still talking about in 2026 that fans of all ages, I mean, 90s babies that grew up with this team, myself included. What do you remember about just looking back on those years?
Oh, I just look back at those years as some of the most fun times that I had playing ball. You know, I got traded to the Mets from the Blue Jays because I was struggling, and Tom Robson helped me get things turned around. And just the group of guys, the chemistry on the team was phenomenal. I'd never been with a team like that where everybody was pulling for each other as much as they were. And, we came real close in 98. And then, it was another close finish to finish up the year in 99. And so getting into the playoffs and, working our way through it, was just a lot of fun. Great to be a part of it.
And Robin, for you, where does that rank as far as when people stop you when you're back at Citi Field or around baseball?
Yeah. I mean that's the one they bring up, and I just cannot believe that there was 500,000 people at that game. Everybody says they were at that game, and I'm like, okay. And I mean, it has happened so often that I'm like, there's no way there was that many people at the game.
Well,
But it's a great one. I mean, I again, Shea was just such a different place. It wasn't necessarily beautiful, as Todd Pratt would say. You look at it, you go, she ain't a beauty, but she's ours. And it was. You kind of felt that way when you played there, and just the things I remember. Um, I just remember when Mike hit a home run, and then you're still on the field, and they're still going crazy. The way the bleachers would bounce because they were on rails, and I'd be at third base, and you could still feel the pulse of people jumping up and down in your feet, and it was so cool.
she ain't a beauty, but she's ours. I love that. Guys,
Yeah.
John, Robin, thank you so much for joining us on Mets Rewind. It was so good to talk to you. Thanks so much.
All right.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you.
Nice seeing you, Oli.
Yeah. Good seeing you too.